All right, everybody. How are you guys doing? I am really sorry that got I got sucked into the madness of the election. I apologize. So I kind of had you guys sitting here cooling your heels, and I apologize for that for about 10 minutes, actually around 8 minutes. So my apologies. Well, of course, everybody is talking about the election, right? That is been everything today is election, election, election. How many of you guys stayed up all night waiting to get a consensus? There were surprisingly a lot of people that almost had like this PTSD type reaction where they kept saying, I know that they're gonna stop counting, and I know they're gonna come back, and all these states are gonna be moved over to the Harris column. And it was really fascinating to watch because even like the Polymarket uh, projections, they were only giving Harris like a 1%, 5% chance of winning, and yet people were terrified to kind of accept those results. They were so distrustful of the system. They had such lack of trust in the powers that be, and they just kept saying, we're going to be robbed. They're going to cheat again. They're going to steal this. This is the way it always happens. And I just thought it was Paul Boone's Paul Boone subjected himself to all night long biting his fingernails and watching the results. But as I watched people and the conversations that were happening on Twitter and such, it really came home to me how we as a citizenry, all of us, our population, we are all traumatized. All of us are traumatized. And it doesn't matter if you wanted Harris to win, if you wanted Trump to win. All of us have been so horribly manipulated that I do think that we're all kind of carrying a certain level of this political trauma, right? And I don't want to diminish the reality of true PTSD and the effects of complex trauma and such. But the truth is this, that if you were exposed to trauma as a kid, and then you grow up in a world where you feel like every single time you try to make something happen, try to make your life better, get a better job, get educated, save money, buy a house, that every single time you try to do that, the United States government comes knocking, that the cops show up with some trumped up charges, that eventually you're more open to the idea that, somebody, something, some force outside of us has control of us and is exerting punishment on us. And I mean, it was actually shocking last night how apparent that was. And I just kept saying, why are that? Well, number one, if you look at my background here, you see that I've got CBS and the all-seeing eye, the Illuminati all-seeing eye. You got CBS there in pink because that's their new manipulation, isn't it? They used to go for who was rich, who was poor, so they would pit us together based on our socioeconomic strata. Then they turn to, how much melanin we have in our skin. If you're Caucasian, if you're African American, if you're Asian, if you're Hispanic, Latino, what is your heritage? From whence do you come out of the primordial ooze? They used that for quite a while to sort of fight us and pit us against one another. Then we had, of course, which is illustrated in NBC Peacock. Then they went after our sexual orientation. They went over. They used this point. Who do you love? In what way do you identify in terms of gender only? The most basic of identity factors. And they've used these very simple but quite identifying factors to pit us one against the other. Division, division, division. Absolutely, Nancy Drew. And it has been so effective that last night, with the results just rolling in, this tidal wave of conservative, I shouldn't even say that because it wasn't conservative. The Latino voters came out in huge numbers. Women, they did come out in huge numbers, but they were not voting Democrat. They were erring on the side of the U.S. citizen. So it was so interesting for me to sit and watch it as a psychologist. I was so fascinated. I hate to use that word. I was kind of horrified, actually. If I really want to be specific and I want to use the most descriptive vocabulary, I would say definitely I was a bit a little frightened, I think, by how complete their brainwashing or manipulation, gaslighting, really and truly just how complete that it was. Just exactly what a good job they have done putting us man against man, woman against woman, rich against poor, black against white, religious versus non-religious. They have been very effective. Very effective. Listen, we have elected an African-American president, correct? Not only did we elect him, we elected him for 2 terms. His White House, his chief of staff was an African-American woman. And yet we had a candidate this time that was running for president with a very, very diversified genetic pool, which I think is so dumb in 2024 for us to focus on. Well, what are your genetics? We're not a breed of dog, people. You know what I mean? We're human beings. And, you know, one breed of dog is no finer than the other. So why do we keep worrying about, well, what is your genetic background? Like where did your forefathers rise up out of the primordial ooze? So I think it's interesting. But we did, in fact, have a woman who was running for president, and she had a wide range of, you know, genetic influence in her. And yet we are still told by the powers that be, those of ABC, NBC, and CBS, that we are what? Racist, aren't we? We're also racist. It's incredible. And you think, what? Just a damn minute. Why do you keep calling us racist? What more do we need in our world to show that we're all just American? The finest surgeons right now are of every shape, color, and creed. Really, walk through a hospital, pay attention to who's wearing the white coats, and tell me what you see. Do you see old white guys dominating? No, you won't. You absolutely will not. They are a minority. Most of the doctors and surgeons, off the top of my head, I would say most are women. And I mean, there's Asian, there's Latino, there is Arabic, there are we have a lady that is Russian. It's just so insulting that we continue to be screeched at, that if you love America and you want America to be successful and you want Americans to be able to grab the American dream, that you are a racist who wants to go back to 1950. Okay, people, here's a news flash. I work a lot. I am definitely a modern woman, and I have never been in a situation at all that the little lady needs to, scurry into the kitchen and whip up some dinner for the old man. Never. My husband does the majority of cooking. He's damn good. Okay. I'm a horrible cook. And if you saw him, you would just think, oh, there's some toxic masculinity. In today's world, we've been told that men are not supposed to be men. If they are automatically identified as controlling and too powerful. That our boys are supposed to be very soft-spoken. They should bow down to the females that are in their life, and none of that is accurate or appropriate. And here's the word: healthy. We should be focusing on our own personalities and the things that drive us. Pay attention to the things that you're good at. Pay attention to the things that you do well, and then do more of them. And that's it. And it doesn't matter if you're really, really good at chemistry. It should not matter if you are male, female, Latino, Caucasian, from the Arab states. It shouldn't matter. You just, as a human being, you figure out what you're good at and you do more of it. And that's it. Figure out what you like, what you enjoy, and embrace it. And I'm so weary of looking at human beings, this media thing that has pushed this force in politics that says that humans are little more than dogs, and that we should look at their pedigree. And whatever their pedigree is, that is the determining factor for whether they are a fine human being of value or not. That is absolutely wrong. Now then, all of that being said, so what happened? Well, oh yeah, Diane, white men have absolutely been demonized. Absolutely, no doubt about it. And in the same way that white men have been demonized, when you are attacked, when someone is questioning you and claiming that you're doing these horrible things, it is within our nature to try and prove that they are wrong. That doesn't mean you're guilty of it. It means that what they're saying about you does not match your identity. And you know within yourself, if you're an honest person, you know if you tell lies, you know if you break the law, you know that, okay? And so if someone starts saying, Jules is a bank robber, that is going to be in direct conflict to my own personal identity, and the discomfort, the cognitive dissonance will drive me. I will feel a compulsion to try to explain that away and say, wait a minute, what do you mean I'm a bank robber? That's not true. When was the bank robbed? Well, here's where I was at the time the bank was robbed, blah, blah, blah. And through manipulation by the media, by the politicians, they have taught people how to also manipulate. We see this on YouTube all the time now. We have these YouTube channel wars that are demeaning and frankly downright embarrassing. And it's it's like YouTube is just turned into this cauldron of personality disorder, and these people with these raging disorders are just fighting one another. It's so unhealthy. But they will say, that if you try and stand up for yourself and you try to describe, no, I didn't do that, and here's my like protection or my proof, my evidence, because you feel a compulsion to make the narrative match your identity. Now the other side will go, oh yeah, but see, that's how we know you're lying. Because when you're lying, you over explain. When you're lying, you explain too much. Or this one, when you're lying, you're angry. When people tell lies, they're angry. Hang on just a second. I can promise you this. If somebody comes in, if the cops come and arrest me and they take me down to the jail and they do an interrogation and they say, we know that you killed your husband, you better get ready for anger. I'm going to lose my mind because my husband is my best friend. I've known him. We met in the 8th grade. He's my life would be nothing like it is without him. We are each other's constant companion. So to have someone to come in and say, not only are you grieving the loss of your husband, but now someone is saying that I did it, you bet I'm going to be screaming and yelling and jumping up and down. You bet I'm going to be feeling a sense of panic that someone is saying something that is so completely false that I feel like a caged animal, right? So again, the point that I'm making here is that we are watching not only the mainstream media manipulating us, all of us, whether we're liberal, whether we're conservative, whether we're Black, white, Latino, Asian, doesn't make any difference. They're manipulating every single one of us. We're all under the spell of this, what I look at as like a blanket MK Ultra kind of low level of manipulation and programming. I mean, why do they call it programming? Oh, let's get the TV programming guide. You are being manipulated, whether you want to believe that or not, whether it scares you to realize that or not. I challenge you this. Take 2 weeks, refuse to watch anything on television, and do not read the news online. 2 weeks. And at the end of those 2 weeks, you tell me if you feel differently. You tell me if you see the world in a little bit of a more balanced way. It's actually amazing, all right, to do it. It will really put you back in touch with your real life. Now, this is going to sound very strange, but it's true. With this upcoming election, I knew that there would be a great deal of emotion, negative emotion. Oh, me too, sipping on. No. We don't have a television like in our living spaces. We don't have a television that plays all the time. Like in my house, when I grew up, my mom and dad, You wake up in the morning, you turn the TV on, and then you turn the coffee pot on, right? That was how you knew the day was getting started. You could hear the TV come on, the news, the morning show, and then you could smell the coffee brewing, right? That when you'd come in from riding horses or being with your friends or whatever, when you'd come in the door, the house was alive with sound, and television would be going, right? It was on all the time, all the time, all the time. And then at the end of the day, when it was finally time to go to sleep, TV would go off, right? We did this whole 2 weeks of no television, 2 weeks of no news online, staying away from the news like CNN, Fox, all that. We were so amazed at how connected we felt to our daily life. I'm talking about our real life, how connected we felt. We were in complete total shock. The TVs are gone from our house. Gone. We do not have a TV. What I have in my bedroom is I have a projector that is hooked up to the internet, and I have a big 12-foot screen, right? 12 feet on the diagonal. Like my whole wall is the screen. And when I want to watch a movie, I will turn on my projector that is hooked up to the internet to watch the movie. But again, there is no round the clock CNN, Fox News. Do not listen to it. Even today, do not listen to it. And so when this election came rolling up, I started watching the rhetoric, and I was just shocked. Why my jaw was on the ground, being told that if you vote for Donald Trump, you are a Nazi. That Donald Trump himself is Adolf Hitler, right? Even Kamala Harris in an interview, she said Donald Trump is a fascist, right? So they also went to the other side and said, that this old white guy, this old Adolf Hitler guy who only values white guys, and all the rest of us are going to be fish food. Women are not going to be able to work anymore. Women no longer have autonomy over their bodies. I mean, these young women are so terrified about what's going to happen to them because the narrative became not the accuracy of abortion will go back to the states. That is because the state is closest to the community. That when you try to have one centralized area of power spread out among the entire United States of America, those people elected in Washington, D.C., they're too far away from the people living in their communities. They don't know what their experience is. Believe me, being a psychologist in West Virginia was a completely and totally different endeavor than being a psychologist in the middle of Houston, Texas. No connection at all. Completely different experience, right? So there are states, there are tens of millions of people who live very rural lifestyles. They still go to church every Sunday. They still pray before they eat their meal. And those people want to know that their money is not being used for what they believe is the death of a child. There are other people, tens of millions of people living in the big city, the large urban areas. They do not have a focus on religious beliefs and identity. They get their identity from other types of group behaviors. And they believe that abortion is just simply another form of health care. And when you believe that one dictator, lord and master should be sitting up on the high throne dictating all of the land shall engage in abortion versus all of the land should stay away from abortion, that is not an efficient or effective use of government. And that is why there were so many calls to take the issue of abortion, and education is the same, bring it back down to be managed at the state level for the state governments to deal with, because the state is closer to the person, the individual, the community in which they live. And then we have the freedom as Americans to live where we want to. If you feel like abortion is something very, very important to you, that you feel like that's a necessary component of your health care, then you have the freedom to move to a state where that idea is very comfortable and a part of normal life, and not be demonized for your choice. That is your right to do. And if you're someone who still has some very strong religious beliefs about it, that it is your right to move to a state where the state, the community, the people, they do not embrace that particular thing. And the same thing will hold true of education, I think, in the coming years. That education will go back to being a state's issue. I'm talking about secondary and elementary education, not college, but that it will go back to being a state issue like colleges are, that it will go back to the states, and then each individual state will manage what their individual students need. A state like Utah or Idaho that is primarily rural or suburban, they don't need, their needs for education do not equal or even mimic the needs of New York City or California, places where you have these uber mega population centers, where the needs for knowledge and what the skills that the kids need is very different. So, it's very logical when you stop and you just look for just the facts, but that is not what ABC, NBC, and CBS, the mainstream media, that is not what they do. They are our programmers. They're programming us. They're guiding us to make purchases so that we buy from the companies that they will benefit from. Right? My Pillow. There's one. That guy, I don't even know his name. Mike Lindell. Is that his name? He was a drug addict. He went to jail. He was having all kinds of worldly problems. And then he got clean, and he used the 12-step method, and that brought him into a religious realm. And then he became an entrepreneur, and he makes pillows. Yeah, that's what he does. He makes pillows. Who cares? Why was this man demonized? That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen, when the whole world turned on mypillow.com. And I said to my husband, I said, they better leave my damn pillow alone. I like my pillow. He makes good pillows. So he still doesn't make as good as sheets as he could, but pillows are great. I love pillows. But he did. He got demonized, got canceled, the whole bit. So why? Because he came out as a patriot, because he said he loved his country and that he liked Donald Trump, and the conservative movement and the programmers went after him and taught you that you should hate this man. I mean, I'm not sure why we're going to hate him. he's sort of one of those people that is doing the right thing. He goes from being a drug addict to being a very successful entrepreneur. Don't you think this is the kind of person that we should lift up in our communities? But then again, we're also doing the same thing to Elon Musk, aren't we? There's a funny thing. Oh my God. Call him out and cancel him, right? Have you guys heard that Elon is dumb? Oh yeah. Our programmers, they have told us now, Elon is stupid. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has sold out to Donald Trump. Okay, I hate to tell you this, okay? Prepare yourselves. Elon Musk is the wealthiest man on the planet. And he wasn't born with a golden or silver spoon in his mouth. He is what we call a mega genius. He's hyperlexical. He came into the world, his brain doing algebra, and he is living in misery. There is a high cost to be paid for these people that have these very high IQs. Their brains are different than ours. And the thing that makes them so valuable, makes them be able to problem solve and see solutions where you and I don't even see the problem. He pays a price for that. One of the prices that is paid by people that are genius is they don't sleep. The brain can't shut off long enough to sleep. So they struggle so desperately to sleep. They struggle. The idea of being able to sit down, put your feet up, watch a movie, that is not in Elon Musk world. He cannot do that. That his body, his brain won't do it. Now he plays video games, and he reports this sensation that when he plays video game and he sets it to like the most difficult level, that creates such a high level of really focused thought that all the other noise gets quiet, and it feels very calming to him. So this guy, a lot of people that are calling him dumb and stupid, that he's an idiot, right? They say, oh, well, he makes crappy electric cars. He makes, shitty electric cars. They're no good. Ford's going to do better. All these other cars are going to ride on the back of Elon Musk's technology that he invented out of nothing. They're all going to do better than Elon. Shut up. Shut up. That is so dumb. But that's the narrative that our programmers are putting out there. And less than brilliant people are buying into it. They're believing this crap. Okay, let me explain something to you. Musk is sitting there going, I really think in order for humanity to survive at all, we're going to have to become multi or interplanetary beings. We're going to have to be able to go to another planet or to the moon and colonize, so that we're not all bunched up on, this little third rock from the sun. And if an asteroid hits us, it's going to wipe out the whole kit and caboodle. And then all the brilliance, all the lessons, all the knowledge of humanity is lost, right? Me and you are sitting around trying to figure out how to pay our electricity bill. This is what Musk brain is doing. He's thinking about, how do you avoid that? if we run the risk of another, global killer that killed the dinosaurs, that's only a matter of time before that happens again. How do we see a better outcome? Oh, I know. We got to go live on other areas. We got to expand and move out into the universe. How are we going to do that? I don't know. How are we going to do that? Like, we got rockets. We can do rockets. We can get off of this rock. We can definitely propel ourselves to other planets. But then how are we going to do that? How are we going to build crap when we're on Mars if we don't have any like machinery? Because humans, we need machinery to do big things, to build things and stuff. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to need energy. We can't drill for oil on Mars. We don't even know if there is oil. There's no dinosaurs there. So what are we going to do for it? Well, there's wind on Mars. Maybe we could use some wind energy, but we still are going to lack electricity. Well, I guess we'll have to use the sun. The problem is with the sun, we can't really harness that very well. I better figure out how to harness the energy of the sun. That's what Elon Musk did. While you got your hands full trying to figure out how to not to drink so much tomorrow night, Musk is sitting around going, how in the world are we going to harness the energy of the sun? Let me give that some thought. Okay, well, we'll do it this way. And he did. Let that sink in. So this guy who invented an entirely new industry, an entirely new technology, made millions of people rich. He only did it because it's a single piece of his overall solution to become interplanetary people. Let that sink in. And now, because he had a brain that would say, yeah, these people that are in charge in the government, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, George Bush, Liz Cheney, these people, they are not really trustworthy. Mitch McConnell scares the shit out of Elon Musk because Mitch McConnell lies. They're all lying, right? And so he's seeing that. He's picking up on that. He's got all these government contracts. He's trying to play nice and donate cash to all of their campaigns, because only thing that Elon Musk cares about is Mars. I promise you, that is all this guy can think about is Mars. When he was trying to start up Tesla, he took a leaf blower and basically engineered it around into a flame thrower. And then he sold them online and made, I don't even remember how much it was, a couple $100,000. He sold hats one time and made like $25,000 off hats. He can make, this guy just sits around and goes, okay, what's going to be my paper clip for today? Okay, now we need to sell it because Tesla needs a little more money. He's in a whole different plane. There's no one else like him. He is a living Einstein. When you look at Elon Musk, you're looking at what Einstein was like, right? And our programmers have told us that Elon is dumb. Who believes that? Who believes a man who actually sits around and figures out how to harness the sun's energy so that he can go to Mars and work and colonize? How many of you believe it's even remotely possible that he's dumb? Oh, look at Sunset Gazing. He's a grifter. Tell me about the accomplishments in your life, Sunset Gazing. Tell me about what great problems have you set about working on and developing solutions for, and then implementing those solutions. He is a genius. And he has played nice, because you have to do that in today's world. And he made his choice. He realized this, if we are going to deal with reality, if I'm going to be able to accomplish what I want to accomplish, I've got to deal with people who are telling the truth. And he took his chances, right? I mean, he laughed. I'm talking about a big, round belly laugh. He laughed and he said, if Donald Trump loses this election, I am FUCK'd. Like he knew it. He said, if they are coming for me and everything I've got if Kamala Harris wins, right? He is a warrior. He is not open to being blackmailed and manipulated, not by Disney, not by any government official. He's not going to do it. He only cares about going to Mars. He cares about nothing else. He just wants his dream for colonizing Mars to be true. That's all he cares about. Trust, I promise you. So, oh my God, Sunset Gazing, stop. That is just stop. Just so weary by all the bullshit. I'm so weary with it all. All right, now then, I want to, hold on. I thought that this was so interesting. This was an interview by Newsweek, another programmer, that they were talking about, what went wrong? Like, why does Donald Trump have so much support? How is that possible? Is it true that this entire world is racist and evil and only the great, decent, and good people of the Democrat Party are very nice? It's stuff. So Sanders was interviewed and talked about this, and I thought this was so refreshing because I did do a recording this morning and I didn't release it. Okay. I'm probably going to release it as a members only video, but I did a recording this morning because I felt a bit angry about the talking heads who were, saying all these crazy things about why Kamala lost the election. And I just shook my head and I said, these people are so out of touch. They have no understanding of the normal American's existence, right? They are so out of touch that they would say, this is something Barack Obama said, that we are misogynistic people. We are a misogynistic group of people, and that is why Kamala did not get any votes. That's why he yelled at the African-American men and shamed them and told them they had to vote for Kamala. And that's why ultimately Hillary didn't win. And that's why Kamala didn't win, because we are a misogynistic group of people. That is so dumb. Half of us are women. Women do not hate women, right? If you are a woman who wants to be a stay-at-home, you're married, you want to take care of your kids, then thank God we live in a day and a time where that can be done. You have that right. It's your life to live as you wish. But if you are a woman that you want to have accomplishment in your life, that you want to be a part of the mainstream life, and you want to go to medical school, or you want to become an attorney, or whatever happens, that you're interested in, then thank God we live in a day and time where that is possible. It's not really hard. You just do what you're supposed to do. If you meet the requirements, you get accepted and you get in. That's true. I'm an old lady. When I got into this game, when I started this game, there were very few women in accomplished high places. It was very frightening to go in to a PhD program where there's 10 men and 2 women. That was very disconcerting. It was very uncomfortable. All the professors were men. They all buddied up with the men. And, you're one of 2 women and you're just really uncomfortable and you're not included. And you notice that, you realize I'm going to have to be a little bit better than what would be working for these other people if I hope to get ahead. And so you either do it, you do the extra work, you work the extra hours, or you don't. That's your choice. Thankfully, I did. And now we are in a day and time where that reality isn't there anymore. Now people are judged equally. Doesn't have anything to do with your men or women, because our professors are all half men, half women. All right. So Bernie Sanders is addressing this question, what went wrong, right? And when I read this, I was like, thank God someone is thinking about this like I see it, right? And that's what my video this morning, my recording this morning was about, was why did Donald Trump have such a resounding success last night? What happened yesterday that we saw Latino, African American, Caucasian, men, women in rural areas, in metropolitan areas, we all came together and voted exactly the same way. And that is fascinating, right? And the question is why? And so in this interview with Bernie Sanders, he says, it should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party that has abandoned working class people would find that the working class have abandoned us or them. He's absolutely right. As American citizens, we are furious. And it doesn't matter our pedigree. It doesn't matter the genetic beginnings from whence we come. We are pissed off that our tax money was not there to help our North Carolinian brothers and sisters who were in peril. We are furious that our citizens in Florida were not supported by FEMA money. Why? Because the FEMA money is gone. It was routed to the non-governmental organizations that were used to funnel our cash to illegals who walked across the border, creating what? A disaster. That's how Mayorkas justified using our emergency cash. It became a slush fund. Your FEMA dollars became a slush fund for bringing these illegals into this nation. on the same day that we were told there is no money to help the North Carolinians, we had Fort Bragg right there. They had special forces. They had helicopters. They could have dropped down into the hills of North Carolina and saved those people. And not a one showed up, not one. On the same day, we sent more than 400 million taxpayer dollars to Ukraine. We, the people, were abandoned by this government. We have been abandoned by the people that we have been voting for. That's the truth. Listen to what Bernie Sanders says. And he's not just, it's not just the Democrat Party. This was not a Republican vote. Make no mistake about it. This was not about the Republicans. Tulsi Gabbard is a Democrat. RFK Jr., he is an environmental attorney. He is as far left wing as you can get. He is proud to wear the crown of liberalism. RFK Jr. and Bernie Sanders are two peas in a pod. Trust me. And even in this interview where I totally agree with Bernie Sanders, he is identifying the Democrat Party, but even he is wrong about this. No, it's not the Democrat Party. It was also the Republican Party. They too abandoned we the people. They told us, sit down and shut up. We are going to take your jobs and let them be done by Chinese people in China, or Indian people in India, or in Vietnam. That's what they did. They told us, you sit down and shut your mouth. We know what we're doing. We're the powerful ones. We're smarter than you. You just be quiet. Don't you worry your little head about what we're doing with your jobs. Oh, and here's some hydrocodone to keep you happy while we destroy your world. Here's a little bit of Oxy. It'll last longer. You'll be chill and relaxed and calm. Go ahead and just take your opiates. We'll worry about making the money. You just sit down and shut up. Those were Republican governors that did it. Those were Democrat governors that did it. They all did it to us. It wasn't party specific. And that is what you witnessed yesterday. You witnessed a nation of U.S. citizens who said, no more. I don't care if he is Caucasian. I don't care if it is a man. I don't care if he is Republican or conservative or religious or not. He is talking about building American jobs. And right now, my family, my community needs some American jobs. So I'm voting for Trump. That's what happened yesterday. It was no longer black against white, man against woman, the educated against the uneducated. No more. No, it ended yesterday. That was U.S. citizen standing shoulder to shoulder with U.S. citizen, saying this has not worked. Your way has not worked. We are not making it anymore. Our families are struggling because we can't put food on our table. We want to be able to make money and prosper in our nation. But now, because of what the decisions that our elected officials have made, both Democrat and Republican, the decisions that our elected officials have made it impossible for me to even save a dime. I can't even afford eggs anymore. How is that possible in the wealthiest nation on the planet that I'm sitting around working my ass off and I can't buy a dozen eggs to feed my children, but some illegals are walking around with $5,000 of my taxpayer money? How is that possible? That is what happened yesterday. That is what happened yesterday. This was not misogyny. This was not people being petty and small against the little lady running for president. And that is so offensive that Barack Obama would even let those words come out of his mouth. You want to know why? Because he knows damn well that was not true. He is not a dumb man. But Bernie Sanders, he said it. It should come as no surprise to American politicians that those politicians have abandoned working class people. Why are they surprised that the working class people have now abandoned them? And he goes on to say, first, it was the white working class that left the Democrat Party. And now we see the Latino and Black workers leaving as well. He chastised Democratic leadership for defending the status quo while Americans are angry and want change. And he asked this question: will the big money interests and well-paid consultants who control the American politicians, all of them, will they learn any real lessons from the disastrous campaign of Kamala Harris? Will they understand the pain and the political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing? Do they have any ideas as to how we can take on the increasingly powerful oligarchy, which has so much economic and political power? And sadly, he says, probably not. Then he goes on, Sanders raised concerns about the Democrat Party's response to key issues, including healthcare, drug prices, the rise of artificial intelligence, and the U.S. response to the conflict between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. And this is where he completely went right off the rails. He was absolutely, in my opinion, accurate about losing the faith of the American people. But politics, as usual, is to divide the people, man against woman, rich against old, rich against poor, young against old. That is how they've made their two-party system work. And Donald Trump and Tulsi Gabbard and Elon Musk and JFK Jr. and JD Vance, they brought disinherited American together with disinherited American, and it doesn't matter about your genetics. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter what background your great-grandparents were. It doesn't matter how much money you make or don't make. It doesn't matter if you're employed or not employed. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is, are you a U.S. citizen? Are you able to be successful and make it in the country of your birth? And you saw the results yesterday. There was a resounding no, we are not making it. I doubt sincerely. I mean, it's true. Trump even had the Minnesota, Dearborn, Michigan, the Israeli Arab American factions. They supported Donald Trump. Hey, let me ask you this question. I heard this discussion on, I think it was CNN, was this discussion about Israel and Hamas, the Palestinian problem, Iran. They played two different Kamala commercials. One of them said, "I'm with you, Arab Americans. I'm with you. We need a two-state solution. Yay, go Hamas." Right? And then immediately they played another Kamala commercial, both made in 2024, both contemporary, up to date, where she's saying, "I will never stand in the way of Israel's right to defend itself against the tragedies and the brutalities of October 7th. And they played these side by side. Now, if you have your grandparents living in Palestine, if you have a cousin who was killed in the Israeli massacre, how are you going to feel about Kamala? That you're listening to her say, no, I'm for the Texans, and I'm also for, I don't know, another football team, the Dallas Cowboys. You can't do that. Doesn't work, right? All right. So they asked Trump that question. That was a gotcha question. That was designed to make Trump alienate some of the voters, right? They said, "What is your answer about the incessant bombing that Israel is doing to the Arab people?" Like, that's like saying, "Have you stopped beating your wife?" Right? There's no good answer to that. But he's Trump, and he's authentic, I think. I could be wrong. I'm willing to admit I could be wrong about that. But I get the sensation that he just simply says what he believes, right? Which is really refreshing if you think about it. Because his answer appeared to be genius. And I don't think I would call Donald Trump a genius. I don't think he is a genius. I think he has high business acumen. I think he understands people, but I don't think he is like a real genius in terms of developing novel and new solutions, right? But his answer left you saying, "Oh, that was a really genius answer. Like, how did he come up with that? That's amazing." And here's what his answer was. Y'all may know what the answer is. Who knows what he said to that question? Do y'all know? Thank you, Black Rose. You are so sweet. I appreciate you. I don't often get super chats, so thank you. I appreciate it. They asked him, what's your solution to this Arab-Israeli, problem? You like a two-state solution, blah, 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 blah. His answer was, "I want the dying to stop." That was his answer. "I want the dying to stop." Okay, so if you're Israel, are you going to be mad about that? Of course not, because you are being attacked. If you are Palestinian or Iranian, are you going to be upset about that answer? Absolutely not. The whole point is you want the killing to stop. Both sides want the killing to stop. And yet the answer is so simple, isn't it? It's so simplistic and real, authentic. And it was really one of the few times that I saw the moderator from CNN to be just kind of speechless, right? How do you answer that? So we find ourselves in a manufactured situation. In my opinion, it's manufactured. We find ourselves in a situation going into this very, very, very unpopular election where the programmers, our programmers, they are telling us that the world is on fire and that if we elect Donald Trump, that it's going to be World War III, right? Our only hope is for Madame President Kamala Harris to save us from nuclear destruction. Oh, and it's so bad that Elon Musk has had conversation with Putin. And it's so bad that Donald Trump had conversation with Putin. Wait a minute. I don't want to die in a nuclear explosion. Let me ask you guys, if you want to die in a nuclear explosion, put a 1. If you'd prefer to die in the aftermath of the fallout, the radiation sickness, put a 2. And if you would prefer to be living in a world of peace, put a 3. And let's see where we all stand on this. My preference is I don't want there to be a nuclear explosion, period. I want to live in a world of peace. Who was the only president that we've had in the past 30, 40 years who was not dropping bombs on the heads of people living like they lived in the 17th century? Donald Trump. He's the only one. The very minute that the Bush, Cheney, Obama machine gets anywhere close to power, well, those are opportunities to start making some money. And sadly, every time one of their bombs explodes, they're getting more and more rich. Now, they're not stupid people. They recognize that you and I, that we would not stand for the carpet bombing of Toronto. We wouldn't allow that, would we? We would say, hold on a minute, those people are exactly like us. No, absolutely not. You are evil to do such a thing. So what do? They go out to the Middle East, or they go to the African continent. They go to these places where the 21st century world has passed them by. They go to these worlds where people are riding around on camels, herding their sheep to the next oasis. You see, we don't have anything in common with those people, do we? We don't know what it's like to be them until you move over there and live with these people for 7, 8, 9 years. Then you start making friends with them. Then you start realizing these people are working 8, 10 hours a day, and they cannot afford to go into a real grocery store because the inflation has destroyed the Egyptian pound. For me to buy a Diet Coke that at the time would have cost $1.25, $1.50 here in the United States, for me to buy that Diet Coke, same size, over in Egypt, it was nearly 7 Egyptian pounds. Now, if you're working and living over there, you're earning Egyptian pounds, you're spending Egyptian pounds, then that's 7 Egyptian pounds for that one Diet Coke. That's a direct correlation. That would be like being here in the United States, working, making American dollars, spending American dollars, a Diet Coke, one costing you $7. Well, it's not such a crazy idea now, is it? We're getting damn close to a $3 20-ounce Coke. And who was in charge? Not Donald Trump, not Elon Musk. So they get wealthy. The Cheney, Obama, Bush, they're getting wealthy from the war machine, the bullets, the the airplanes, the bombs. They're making a lot of money from all of that. We were all sitting around going, what the hell? Why in the hell did you leave Apache helicopters in Afghanistan? Are you crazy? Never has there been a more demoralized American military than Afghanistan. And we had young female pilots, young female doctors who were working in the Afghanistan army that we had promised to protect. And they were shot and killed in the streets when we just drove away, left American citizens there to die. Biden says, we're out, and magically we're not going to do a damn thing to help anyone. Even all those women that we promised that we would be there to protect them. We didn't protect them. We facilitated their murders. Why? Well, let's think about this for a minute, shall we? Not think about it as our programmers would like us to think about it. Let's think about it like normal people. Just a little bit of good problem solving here. Well, for every Apache helicopter that was left behind, didn't someone have to build a new one to replace it? For every military Jeep or tank or cot or mess kit, how about the boots that were left? Somewhere out there, someone's got a military government contract to make military boots for the United States Army, don't they? Wow. If you were in that business and you saw that happen in Afghanistan, you were excited. Happy days are here again. Look at that. Look at all of that good American constructed artillery. Look at it. It's just left in the desert. The United States government will be needing replacement. Fire up the damn factories. And what do you want to bet that Dick Cheney and Barack Obama and George Bush were watching the abandonment of Afghanistani people, and they were laughing. They were laughing because they were going to be laughing all the way to the bank with those new government contracts. It's truth. We looked at it as normal people and we said, my God, what are we doing? I was heartbroken by the women of Afghanistan that we abandoned after promising them that we would not do that. We had military families that were horrified that we left behind active military people, their families stuck in their houses, military contractors abandoned. You want to know who saved them? Donald Trump and his friends, those that had helicopters, those that had airplanes, those that had money to buy supplies. They took their own life in their hands, and they flew out there to the deserts of Afghanistan, and they saved as many Americans or Afghans that they could possibly save. Not Joe Biden, not the United States government. Horrifying. Absolutely disgraceful. But our programmers, they just let that debacle just go right on by. Nothing to see here. Don't take a look. Just look the other direction. But make no mistake about it, there were people that benefited financially from the deaths of all of those women in Afghanistan, from the abandonment of $1 trillion worth of United States military equipment, new government contracts were going out the next day. Look, they're not just doing this stuff because they're evil. I know that that's sort of a narrative that's taken over, that we're in a fight, good against evil, right? I know that that's going on. It's like The Stand, the real life Stand. Please don't think that. I don't believe that. I think that's maybe it's a little too dramatic, maybe a little too Hollywood. And I love Tucker Carlson. I think he's awesome. But I am absolutely convinced that the decisions that are being made by the programmers, the decisions that are being made by our elected, it's just good old-fashioned greed. It's people that say, I'm finally in a position to get mine. No more being low class, middle class. I'm finally going to be one of the rich and famous. And they just sell their soul, they get there and they're willing to sell out to the highest bidder. Isn't that right, Dan Crenshaw, you piece of shit? Oh, Danny Boy. Danny Boy was so well loved by Texas, weren't we, Dan? Oh man, we stood by you, didn't we? You were a categorical disappointment, not just us, but to your own family. Dan Crenshaw gets a shout out for selling his soul when he got to Washington. All right. Oh yeah, Dan Crenshaw's. All right, no narrative change here. I'm going to stay on my topic, okay? All right, I got to stop sharing. All right, now then. Come on, I want to share. I think my computer must be getting hot. Okay. Let's see. Here is a very interesting all right. This article, I noticed this last night, and it was like 3:00 in the morning, right? I noticed this and I thought, oh, this is so uncomfortable and curious. Now, in this article, they're going to talk about like the total votes counted, the popular vote counted so far. But what I noticed last night was this, or early this morning. I noticed that in Arizona, there was one county in Arizona where they were down 300,000 votes, the Democrat side. 300,000. That in 2020, last presidential election, Trump versus Biden, that in 2020, they had, the Democrats, there had been like 400, let's just say, I'm guessing here, 450,000 votes that were cast for Joe Biden, right? And then Trump got like, I think he got like 190,000 votes, this little county in Arizona. But a curious thing happened, that now 4 years later, Donald Trump gets right at 200,000 votes. So his vote goes up a little bit, not a lot, just several thousand, right? But the Democrat, Kamala, it was so surprising, because where Joe Biden had gotten 450,000 votes in this one county, there was only like 120,000, 130,000 votes. And I thought, looking at that, now this was closed. This county, 100% reporting. It was done. And I looked at that and I thought, what? Okay, let me think my way through this. Not like the programmers want me to think about it, but just normal, regular, logical life. You want me to believe that in 2020, you had 450,000 votes for a man that basically stayed in his basement. He couldn't get anybody to come to a rally. There was zero enthusiasm for this guy. Zero. 450,000 votes for this guy in this one county. It's like, shit, he is really popular in Arizona. That's kind of crazy, right? So he outplays Trump over 200,000 votes. Now fast forward to 2024, 3:00 in the morning, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, wait a minute, there's 300,000 votes. Like I think it was like 310,000 votes. Where are they? You want me to believe in this one county in Arizona, a place overrun with illegals? 300,000 people that got excited enough to go vote for Joe Biden, but they couldn't like muster up the energy to go vote for Kamala? 300,000 in one county? How is that possible? And I thought, well, maybe it's a glitch in the numbers. Maybe there's something wrong with the numbers. But then when you looked at Donald Trump, he had gotten a couple of thousand more, not a lot more, a couple of thousand, right? So the wisdom would tell you that was some of the Democrat voters that crossed over, right? I was so surprised. I was blown away. I was like, how can that be? 300 when your total votes, here, let me put it another way. The collective number of people for that one county was 600,000. And I'm rounding, obviously. I'm not giving you down to the individual number, but about 600,000. So to have Kamala Harris have 150,000 votes, you are talking about half of the voters that voted in 2020 just simply didn't vote for anyone. That's not what happens. When people go and get registered to vote, they, for the most part, do vote in presidential elections. They don't vote in mid-year elections, right? There's few people that vote in mid-year elections. But for presidential elections, people are generally fairly motivated. About anywhere between 37 to 60 something percent of registered voters will turn out for an election. And you have a percentage of people that they never miss an election. They always vote. And then you have a group of people that are very low propensity voters. They just come out every now and then if there's reason. And I kept thinking about 2020, and I was thinking, okay, please help me understand. Why are people coming out to vote for Joe Biden? He's not exciting. There's nothing about him. Like we had Barack Obama. People were so ready to vote for him. The first Black president, big deal, historical event, right? Lots of people got super excited about Barack Obama. But Joe Biden? He's just an old white guy that couldn't really communicate very well. You remember when they drew those circles out on the football field, and they ended up having the media stand in those circles because nobody showed up to listen to him talk. Now he got voted in, legitimately got voted for, but nobody was really excited about it. It was sort of like a chore. You got to go do it because it's the right thing to do, right? But why didn't Kamala get at least a little bit of that, I guess, responsibility? where in this one county did half the voters go to? It's a question, isn't it? It's a very real question. Now, it's very interesting that when you look at the popular vote today in 2024, that the votes that Donald Trump got today are very similar to what he got in 2020. It's very close, right? Now ask me about Kamala. How did old Kamala measure up in comparison to the popular vote for Joe Biden? Do y'all know? Have you seen this? Get ready, because this is unbelievable. It's true. It's real. It's being reported on the Real Clear Politics, all the big polling sites. This is real. What I'm about to tell you is 100% accurate, okay? Kamala Harris, the popular vote across the entire United States for Kamala Harris compared to what Joe Biden got, they seem to have misplaced 20 million people. That's right. 20 million people went missing and did not go out to vote for Kamala. Isn't that crazy? Do y'all know how much 20 million is? That's a lot. That is a lot of people. So where did those people go? Where'd they go? I'll tell you where. They're not people. That was 20 million ballots. Printed, mailed ballots. That's what it was. So we're in a bit of a pickle now in the United States. Yeah. Well, I think those 20 million people must be with those 350,000 missing children. You know what I mean? I think they must all be in the same place. Maybe one day we'll get lucky and Barack Obama will tell us where they are. Come on, Barack. Where are those 20 million ballots that somehow made it into the election in 2020, but got rejected in 2024? Where'd they go? I don't know if you guys know this or not, but yesterday there were judges and attorneys standing guard, and all over this nation, judges were issuing orders to control the shenanigans. There was a lot of nonsense afoot yesterday. But the programmers, you see, the probers, they didn't want you to know because it went against them. What happened yesterday, thank God for the judges that were waiting, ready to go, issuing orders left and right yesterday. It was very chaotic yesterday legally to keep everybody in order. They still managed to steal in Detroit. We got video of them unloading boxes full of ballots in Michigan, but the cars from which they were unloading them had California license plates. They were being walked in through the back door. But they did get the recording. There were people manning all the drop boxes. They got them. They got their faces. We'll see if they prosecute them. But ultimately, it was decided it didn't really matter that Trump had already won the whole election. So, yeah, true that. So, it is 100% suspicious, Anne Fran. And because I don't care about the programmers, I don't give a damn what CNN says. Like, here's my position. My position is I have plenty of evidence in my life that I'm a smart person, right? I'm accomplished. I can think, I can learn, I can see problems and find solutions. Do I really believe the people that are talking on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, do I really think they're smarter than me? Do I believe that Taylor Swift has more knowledge about microeconomics and macroeconomics, the politic of the world? Do I believe that Taylor Swift knows more than I do? Do I believe that De Niro knows better than I do what my family needs for survival? Or should I trust myself? So I don't listen to the programmers. I don't give a damn what they say. I don't give a damn what their opinions are. I don't care. And hopefully more people will stop watching the mainstream media. Hopefully. Because all they're doing is gaslighting you. They're misleading you. They're tricking you. That's it. All right. What kind of opinions are they asking for, Calming the Chaos? I got opinions. I got lots of opinions. All right. So we have a 20 million vote gap between Harris and Biden. That is incredible, isn't it? And remember what I said about that one county in Arizona. They seem to have misplaced 300,000 of their voters. Half of their voters are missing. I know why they lost, Calming the Chaos. The reason that they lost is because they abandoned, they meaning the elected politicians, they abandoned U.S. citizens. The United States government has turned their back on we the people. And they used, as they are neutering the body politic, as they are putting tape over our mouths and telling us to just sit down and shut up and accept the abuse that they are dishing out, as they take our tax money and squander it, not caring at all about the conditions of life for we the people said, screw you. And all this messaging that we're getting from our programmers is all designed to placate us or to make us fight against one another. They use a lot of different psychological principles to have people, number one, they're traumatizing us, number one. So you get the effects of trauma bonding. And then when you have trauma bonding, then you have people that pull together tightly as a collective group and lash out. And so for many years, they've been able to make us, women hate men, old people hate young people, rich people hate poor people, black people hating white people, or white people hating black people. They've been very effective in that. And what's happened in this election cycle is that we saw Donald Trump choose JD Vance. And at the time, I was like, holy moly, what a misstep that was. That was so foolish of a choice. This nation has lashed out against toxic masculinity, right? What would make him do that? Why wasn't he inclusive? Why didn't he choose? Look, I'm going to tell you right now. I wish that I could vote for Tulsi Gabbard for president. Okay. I'm a Democrat. I'm a fiscal conservative financially, but in terms of social issues and such, I'm definitely Democrat, and certainly, go women. I'm on team woman, but I'm not foolish to believe that just because you're a woman, you're probably moral and honest. There's a lot of bad women out there, just like there's a lot of bad men out there. I think we've got to be rational and thoughtful and logical, right? And so when you saw Donald Trump choose JD Vance, and then everybody went, "What? That is crazy." But then what did Vance start talking about? He started talking about the Ohio River Valley. He started talking about manufacturing. He started talking about bringing back dignity to the people of the Appalachian Mountain region, right? Bringing those jobs back from China and Vietnam and bringing them back to the United States so that American citizens, we the people, can live dignified lives. And I thought, now that is wise. That I wasn't considering, but that is very wise. And then we had Elon Musk jump on, right? And there were so many people that were surprised by that. And let's face it, Elon does attract quite a few jokes. But that's just because he's aspy, he's physically, he's a bit clumsy. But I don't care. I would much rather have a living Einstein. I don't care too much. That I'm not a big athlete worshiper. You know what I mean? I mean, I love the Astros, but I'm not a big worshiper of athletics. I love gifted and talented kids, and he's the quintessential gifted and talented. He's the stereotype. So being a living Einstein, he's a very interesting character, but he also day-to-day life, he pays a high price for that IQ. He's really uncomfortable, physically and mentally, but bringing Elon Musk on, here's what happened with Elon Musk psychologically. When he brought Elon Musk on, Elon Musk uttered a phrase that excited people. And that was, he said, we are going to build bases on the moon and we are going to fly to Mars. And when he said that, American citizens, we the people, we remembered our history of American exceptionalism that Barack Obama shut down. You see, that was necessary. It was necessary that the United States no longer set the standard for the rest of the world. If you are a globalist, if your goal is the domination and subjugation of America so that you as an appointed king gets to rise to the top of global domination, then you certainly cannot have America dominating in space exploration, in the hard sciences. You can't have that, because that's got to go back to the Arab nations. That's the narrative, right? That science and math was born out of, the deserts of Persia. So Barack Obama takes office, and he is a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. I don't care what anybody says. Everything he does and says reflects their ideas. So the first thing that he does coming into office, he kills NASA. And a lot of people looked at that and said, wow, that's weird. Like, no one expected that. No one thought about that. Nobody anticipated that. Least of all NASA, I can tell you, because I got a lot of friends that work with NASA or supporting companies. And when he did that, I mean, he literally shuttered NASA. Said, you're done. There'll be no more money for you. You're out. When he did that, he took away a big part of American identity, American exceptionalism. It was gone. And when they made the movie about space exploration, they wouldn't show Neil Armstrong, planting the American flag on the moon. They wouldn't let that be a part of the story. Why? The death of American exceptionalism. You've got to put down U.S. citizens so they feel as insignificant, as small as someone coming out of the Sahara Desert. That's necessary for global domination, right? So when Elon Musk said we are going to build bases on the moon and we are going to fly to Mars, I thought, damn, that is crazy. That is huge. That is amazing. And I thought, was that on purpose? Like, was this intentional? I am now of the belief that it was absolutely planned and intentional. I believe it. I didn't, when it happened, I was unsure. I didn't know if it was just if it was serendipitous. I didn't know, but now I look at it and I think it was absolutely planned. The next thing you do is you bring on Tulsi Gabbard. It's a huge step. Huge step. This was a woman who stood toe-to-toe against the DNC. She's from Hawaii. She is or was a Democrat. She recently changed her party affiliation to Republican. But she stood toe-to-toe against the DNC because Bernie Sanders actually received the proper number of votes to be the nominee, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz did some funny business behind the scenes because they had their heart set on Hillary Clinton. Remember that? And Tulsi Gabbard was like co-chair to the DNC when this happened. And she was the only one of these so-called Democrats, right? She was the only one that had the guts. Now, she is an American soldier. She is walking the walk, talking the talk. She loves her nation. She's proved it. And she stood up and she said, you can't do this. You can't. The people of the Democrat Party have chosen Bernie as our candidate, not Hillary. We did not choose Hillary. We chose Bernie. And that's who needs to run, is Bernie, because that's what we do. We're a democracy, right? And Debbie Wasserman Schultz said, that's not what we're going to do. And she went behind the scenes and offered Bernie Sanders millions to step down, thereby making Hillary Clinton the candidate, the nominee. But she stood her ground. She stood her ground. She said, this is wrong. And she came out as a whistleblower to expose the shenanigans. And overnight, just like that, Barack Obama's play toy, his shiny new object that he was going to get her all shined up and spiffy and make her the face of the new, Democratic Party. She was just a little bit too independent for his liking and a lot smarter than what he wanted to try to deal with. And she became persona non grata overnight. Do you know these sons of bitches have put her on the terrorist watch list? That's right. An American congresswoman, a woman who has served a military career, and they put her on a terrorist watch list because she endorsed Donald Trump. That's why, no other reason. So when they brought Tulsi Gabbard on, they opened a door to recognize and realize this is about an idea. This is not about a genetic lineage. This is about the importance of American identity, being a United States citizen. We the people and our Constitution. It really changed the course of their narrative. And then the crown jewel of this all-American team was, of course, RFK Jr., the young prince of the greatest Democrat family that ever was. And again, another example where the Democrat Party abused this man, ostracized him, and then demonized him in the most atrocious of ways. He's a Kennedy, for God's sake. His father and his uncle were both assassinated for their political ideas. And the Democrat Party completely destroys this guy. This was a team, a collated group of people that were designed to remind you that the politicians have gone off the rails. They have lost sight of we the people. They have all become dictators in their own way as a party. The DNC, the RNC, and then the programmers, they are the enemy. They are against us, we the people. And never has it been more fully proven than them standing by and just letting millions of people invade our country. Not only do they invade our country, but they're using American tax dollars. And now we find out, after what happened in North Carolina and Florida, Georgia, we find out that our FEMA dollars are literally going to NGOs so that they can be legally funneled to the hands of illegals that have walked into our nation. We are in a war, y'all. Our government has been taken over as the tool of people that are like robber barons. They're mercenary. They don't care who they hurt. All they care about is getting money for their own. And we are the casualties of that war. We're collateral damage. We're barely scraping by, just keeping enough of our earned money in our pockets while they're taking billions and routing it to illegals. They're routing it to the Ukraine. How about this one? Let's try this one on. Look, no, there's no safe space here. I'm just going to give facts. We are giving millions of dollars to Israel so that they can go and blow up Lebanon. And guess what? We're giving millions to Lebanon so that they can rebuild what was blown up by U.S. bombs. Does that make any of you guys feel good? Or does it seem mindless? It seems mindless because it is mindless. It's stupid. And yet they're doing it, and they're getting damn rich off of it. And they're not going to waste valuable U.S. tax dollars on we the people. They look at us as consumers of those important tax dollars, instead of recognizing it's our money. It's our money. It's crazy. With the amount of tax money that we pay into this government, we should not have a single homeless person on the street at all. And yet we do. But when the illegals come over and those valuable tax dollars are going through the NGOs, well, how about this one? I'm fixing to blow your shoes off with this one. You know, all of those 5-star hotels that are now completely full of illegals? Put a 1 if you've heard about that, where they've taken these really, really nice hotels in New York City and other places, and they're now completely full of illegal families. Have you heard of it? If you have, put a 1. If you haven't heard about it, put a 2. I'm just curious. Okay, so the story is still kind of circulating. Well, listen to this. Okay, it's crazy. Okay, I actually stayed at one of those hotels. My son got into a college in New York and called Seton Hall. And so we were up there to see him and do everything. And so we stayed in this beautiful hotel. It was so amazing. 5-star restaurant. You know, it was a great experience, the whole thing. And then I saw that it was one of the hotels that they had housed all these illegals. And I was like, holy shit. That hotel was like a $350, $400 a night hotel. I was like, damn. Why would they do that? Why in the world? I had to pay $400 a night to stay in that hotel. Now they're just like gonna let it, like they're gonna lose money letting all these people that just move in. Like, what about the electricity alone, the water bill to have a full hotel, right? And I got to thinking about it, and I said, these are business people. They wouldn't do this out of the goodness of their heart. There's something else here that is very odd. So I got to doing some reading and some digging and some looking. And guess what? Those hotels stood empty during COVID. A lot of them had declared bankruptcy or were near to bankruptcy. And they were not just saying, hey, I got empty hotel rooms. Come on, you can stay here. They were actually approached by the United States government, and they said, if you will give us use of your hotel, we will pay you $500 a night for each room. That's a whole different ball of wax. Those guys owning those hotels were not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. Those people are business people, and they got a contract with the government that said, we are going to guarantee you years of completely full to occupancy, and we're going to pay you prime dollar. Just like if it was full of tourists, but it's going to be full of illegals. And the United States government, they will tell you they cannot pay for an apartment for a homeless family. They can't take an empty Holiday Inn and pay for those rooms so that homeless people will not be on the streets. They can't do that. Costs too much. But they were happy to do it for the illegals. This is a true story, y'all. It's real. It's fact. So the psychological reasons, calming the chaos, the psychological reasons that this election happened was, number one, the divide and conquer strategy that is used by the programmers failed. And the reason that it failed is because Donald Trump presented a very diverse group on his team. That the only similarity between the main faces on his team is that they were all U.S. citizens. But they were all very different in terms of background, socioeconomic strata, their dreams for the future. They were a perfect, you think about Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, the whole wide array, they're just America. We all look different. You know, there's no one group that look, if you go to Norway, everybody sort of looks alike, right? Even if you go to Scotland or Ireland, a lot of people look very, very similar. not in the United States. We all look very, very different based on whatever cultural, genetic heritage we come from, right? But what draws us together as Americans is the American experience, American exceptionalism, the American dream. It's our shared existence that gives us identity, that bonds us together. And Donald Trump put together that team. The face of his campaign was this diverse picture of we the people. And we the people responded. And the programmers, they have demonized the patriarchy. They love that word, the patriarchy. I listen to them hate men, and I think to myself, that's really sad that you didn't have a father that you bonded with so that you have developed a view of respect for men. Those of us that were fortunate, we had great dads in the home. We respect men. We look at men as our equals, or even maybe our protectors, if you will. My dad was always laughing, give you the shirt off his back. He'd help anyone, whether he knew you or not. If he saw someone in danger, he whatever he could do, he would do. If he was driving down the highway and he saw an animal in the road that had been run over, he would pull over and pull that animal, whether it was dead or not. He'd pull that animal off the side of the road just so that its body would not be desecrated. If I don't know how many times he stopped and an animal had been run over, it was still alive, and he'd take it up to the vet. It's a good man. He was a decent, and he was a fierce man. He would fight for those people, those issues, the things that mattered to him. He was a good guy. And so I look at masculine men and I just see normal. I see someone who can help. I see someone there's admiration, right? But not everybody had that. A lot of people grew up with a man in their house that brutalized them or brutalized their mother. And that if you experience that in childhood, you develop an archetype for what a man is, and your archetype will reflect this brutal domination, and you will forever be wary of men. And I'm so grateful that I like men. They're great as far as I'm concerned, and there are bad ones out there. And when someone reveals themselves, male or female, when someone reveals themselves to me as being a bad person, I just simply steer clear of them. The toxic masculinity that has developed, the Me Too movement, has gone a long way toward men being ashamed of being men. That our young men, our teenage boys, our young college age men, many of them are having a real identity crisis. There's a lot of problems with young men over-identifying with the feminine gender role because in their mind, they don't want to be a man. A man is a bad person that causes harm. But that's not true. There's lots of really good. I happen to believe that Donald Trump must be a man like my dad was a man, or like my husband. I get that feeling. Why? Because I look at his children. I look at his grandkids. They seem like regular people. They don't seem like people that have struggled with complex trauma, and they've all been interested in their own careers. They've all done well with their families. Their kids seem to be happy. And that comes out of safe homes. when people struggle and they can't focus on developing a career or getting educated, there's usually trauma in the home. There's usually some kind of drug addiction or alcoholism. And you don't seem to really see that. He's come out and vocally said he is dramatically against alcohol and recreational drugs. His brother that he admired very much, his older brother, died of alcoholism, and he sort of developed a hate relationship with intoxication. So there's none of that. I think his son, Donald Jr., I think he, has a drug problem, but, the others are, it's just none of that. So yeah, I think it's a good guy. Yeah. And here, that brings up another person, Jordan Peterson, Canadian, right? Here is another genius, Harvard professor, that was demonized by the body politic because he was not going to go along with their narrative. Because when they started saying, well, you've got to say that if a man wants to dress up like a woman, that she's now a woman. And if you're not willing to say that, then you're no longer in the game. And he said, of course I'm not going to say that because it's not true. And I know some of you are grabbing your pearls now, gasping and freaking out. Look, there is a reality here. It doesn't matter what kind of vocabulary you want to use. Here's the reality. In 1,000 years from now, some scientist is going to come along and dig up my bones. And when they dig up my bones, they're going to run their tests and they're going to go, oh, looky here. We have hopefully I live till I'm 95. We have a 95-year-old Caucasian, what? Female. The fact that I am female is literally in every cell of my body. You can pump me full of testosterone if you want to. The only thing you are going to change are the secondary and tertiary sex factors. That's all you're going to do. You're not going to change the primary indicators of female. If you give me a bunch of testosterone, my face will now begin to grow hair, but I am not going to grow a penis. That's true. Absolute facts. And you may, shoot me up full of testosterone, but you are not, with all that testosterone, it may cause my voice to change, but it will not cause me to grow an additional 6 inches or develop wide shoulders and narrow hips. It's not going to do that. The primary sex characteristics will not be affected. Only the secondary sex characteristics and sometimes tertiary. So I think it is damaging to people who are struggling with identity to try to use a surgical solution or a chemical solution. The puberty blockers that we've been hearing a lot about on the news and such. The puberty blockers that are being used are actually exactly the same drug. Exactly. No changes at all. Exactly the same drug that is used for chemical castration of rapists and pedophiles. If you knew that, put a 1. If you are in shock, put a 2. Yeah. chemical castration of rapists and pedophiles are getting exactly the same medicine that mommies are giving their little boys who say, "Mommy, I'm a girl." And that crazy mother is going, "Oh, okay, little Johnny, we're going to make you Donnie or Donna, and we'll just give you this medication that's going to make you a girl." No, it's not. You're not making your child a girl. You know what you're making your child? You're making your child a eunuch. Is that what you want? You want to rob your child's natural ability for bonding with another person. You want to rob them of that experience so that your child goes through life forever disconnected from humanity. Is that really what you want to do? Or are you just stupid and a victim of a group of mad scientists, psychopaths? It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I'll tell you something else that's horrible. It's horrible to put men into the boxing ring with women and give them medals for beating the shit out of a woman. That's horrible. We're supposed to be better than that, aren't we? These are the psychological reasons calming the chaos that this was a landslide runaway election. Because we, the people, are horrified by what our government has done to us. We're horrified. We are horrified what they are doing to children. And now we are horrified what they are doing to our young men. To deny men the right to their basic identity. Men are supposed to be men. Joe Rogan came out and endorsed Donald Trump. Don't think that didn't have a huge effect on the men going out and voting. Men who have probably sat over a beer and said, "I won't vote because it doesn't matter. It's not real. No one will ever know that I voted because it won't count anyway." Well, they've learned a valuable lesson yesterday, didn't they? And for this Democrat and Republican government, they're quaking in their shoes today. Don't you ever doubt it. All of them. Mitt Romney, all of them. Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, Mike Lee, all of them. They're all sitting around with each other, looking at each other going, I think the gig is up. I think they're on to us. And you know what? They would be right. The worm has turned, y'all. Yesterday was a monumental change in the United States future. So get ready, because big things are going to happen. Big things. And about the only one that I'm like really motivated about and really, really excited about, oh my gosh, I want to see us working and living on the moon. I can't wait. Honestly, I can't. If I was a younger woman, I would want to be up there. You know what I mean? But I can't because I'm an old lady. So, but I can watch and I can marvel to imagine that hopefully in my lifetime, we get to see Mars through the eyes of people, human beings there. I hope that it's real. I hope that we see it. I hope that it comes to fruition fairly quickly. You know what I mean? But there'll be big changes. There's going to be a lot of big changes simply because the politicians have watched the power of this movement of we the people, U.S. citizen with U.S. citizen. And I think they're probably scared. I think they probably realize dramatic things have changed. Now, I wanted to do this too. Look, I think people are a bit unhinged. The programmers have been telling us that Donald Trump was out of his mind, right? That he's so vindictive and angry and he's going to jail everybody, yada, 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 yada. And you have to ask yourself, why are they saying this about him? Like, what do you mean he's going to jail you? What do you mean he's coming for you? Why would he? Oh, I know why. Because you weaponized the law against him. Because you arrested him and put him through a trial for something that is not a crime. Because you literally gave the jury a multiple choice conviction. Is that why? And so this is the woman right here, Letitia James. Oh, come on, Letitia, Letitty baby. You know you're in trouble. You know you scared. So let's see what Letitia James had to say last night about the election of Donald Trump. A depressed Letitia James declares that she is the guardian of the law. I'm talking now. You remember that BS? Okay. She declares she is the guardian of the law, and she tells New Yorkers, be not afraid, young people. Be not afraid. I am here to protect you against the President Donald J. Trump. Oh, hush, James. You know that you are corrupt as hell. You know damn well that you acting like some third world banana republic, trumped up charges, if ever in the world there was trumped up charges. And you know that you broke the law to do it. And they are coming for you. James said that she has a, quotation mark, contingency plan in response to Trump winning the election. So here we are. We've studied their platforms. We have identified certain possibilities. We've created contingency plans. What's that? What does that mean? Does that mean you got a flight out of the country to Vietnam? The only place on the planet that doesn't have an extradition treaty with the U.S. Okay, Letitia, you go ahead and do that, big girl. This New York is not the time to be fearful, but to be faithful and steadfast. Continue to believe the programmers. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Knowing that I, as the Attorney General, along with my team, the entire team, we are the guardians of the universe. Oh, I'm sorry, guardians of the law. And we are prepared, my friends, to fight back. What the hell are you going to fight back on, girl?
So here we are. We've studied their platforms. We've identified certain possibilities, fact patterns. We've created contingency plans.
You liar.
So no matter what the next administration throws at us.
Oh, what?
We're ready.
What? Are you expecting something, Letitia? Do you sort of get the feeling that you and your little friends are going to be arrested? I think you're probably right.
We're ready to respond to their attacks.
Oh, is that right? Well, you might as well get ready because it's going to take you and an army to fight back against we, the people. And we, the people, we don't like it when you throw the United States Constitution out the window. We don't like that. We are a nation of laws, Letitia James. We are a nation of laws, and you don't take a lawful person and destroy them. What was it? A stroke of the pen.
To respond to any attempts to cut or eliminate any funding to the great state of New York, as the governor outlined. So despite what has happened on the national stage, we will continue to stand tall in the face of injustice, revenge, or retribution.
Why would he need revenge? Like, I'm sure if he was a criminal and that you lawfully arrested him and that your charges were accurate to the statutes, then why would you have anything to worry about? Unless it wasn't lawful, right, Letitia?
We will continue to protect and our most vulnerable and marginalized amongst us.
You are the only one that is vulnerable and marginalized, lady. Only the criminals, not the citizens. Do you guys know that New York only, it was like they were like 5 percentage points from Trump winning in New York. New Jersey, they're saying, is still possible that New Jersey went for Trump. So, I mean, Pennsylvania went for Trump. Virginia went for Trump, even though they pulled that back at the last minute by throwing out some ballots. But before they threw the ballots out, Virginia was Trump's. No, they're all in a state of shock. We the people, not Donald Trump won. We the people won. U.S. citizens spoke yesterday. U.S. citizens spoke to our government, to our elected officials, and we said, no more. We have had enough. We are finished with the Dan Crenshaws of the world. We are finished with the Fani Willis and Letitia Jameses of the world. We're done with that. We want to get back to being a nation of laws and following the law. We want to get back to equal work, equal value. We want to get back to our taxes being used here in the United States for American citizens. That's it. No more kickbacks, no more funneling money, slush funds, no more. Finish with it. And we'll keep on voting just like we did yesterday. We'll continue to vote until every one of these corrupt assholes is out of office, and honest Democrats, honest Republicans are in office following the rule of law, that they are making their decisions based on what benefits we the people, not what benefits Dan Crenshaw. Yeah? All right. What does this say? Chicago protests erupt after Trump wins. I haven't seen this. Have y'all seen this? Breaking report, mass protests have begun in Chicago. Well, y'all can be mad all you want. Let's see if there's sound. I mean, the leader of Black Lives Matter endorsed Donald Trump. One thing stands out. There's not very many people there, is there? I mean, it was just one teeny little clip, so it does kind of look like the programmers have taken things a little bit out of context here. All right. Ooh, I got big problems here. All right, so we looked at that. I don't remember. I guess I was going to talk about 2020 compared to 2024. I guess that was what I was going to talk about. Oh, they finally jumped Trump up over 312. I think he's going to end up with something like 380 something, 385 or something. I think that was why I had that window open. Let's see. Come on. Wow. Apparently, StreamYards is under attack, having some, they're disconnecting people. If you can hear me, put a 1. If you can hear me, put a 1. You may not be able to. I may have to end the live stream. Oh, okay. Thank you, Sunset Daisy. Okay. So I wanted to share this because this was fairly shocking. Here's an example of the programmers at work. Let me show you how they're doing this. All right. So let's just take a little listen here.
The fraud this, fraud that, and then there was never any evidence really at all. And yet people seem still willing to take his word, theoretically, that it was, the fix was in. Like that's the part that I don't understand in a system that would seem to be working.
Well, yeah, his court challenges didn't go anywhere. The argument J.D. Vance has made subsequently is that, okay, well, it might not have been rigged at the ballot box, but they did suppress a laptop that would have changed votes. We know that. They did change voting rules all over
It's
the
not
place.
true. Let's not spread misinformation on air. That's not true.
It's absolutely true.
It's
We
not
have,
true.
we have public polling for it.
That's not true, which is why there's been no litigation around it and no one's been held liable for that. There's been absolutely no.
I'm talking about a
election
media
meddling or
narrative
fraud.
story. I'm
Okay. It actually, in truth, the Hunter Biden laptop is real. It has actually been used in a court of law as evidence. All right. It's real. It is no longer under dispute. It's real. It is also quite real that, Mark Zuckerberg himself, he's king of the masters of the universe. He actually did testify in front of Congress, and he said they forced me, to suppress any information about the laptop. That if someone posted something about the laptop, it was immediately changed to Russian disinformation. So I don't know what this lady's talking about, but she's full of shit. She's one of the programmers.
I'm not talking about actually rigging of an election. That's the J.D. Vance argument. I'm just giving you J.D. Vance's argument. But yeah, you're right. It does undermine, it does create long-term problems for the Republican Party to not believe in the vote.
It creates problems. Listen carefully to the verbiage. It creates problems for the Republican Party not to believe the vote. Well, who is the Republican Party? Dan Crenshaw? No. The Republican Party is not the elected. The Republican Party is me and you. The Democrat Party is me and you. We the people. We the people. We are what matter. When we elect our representatives, Dan Crenshaw, when we elect our representatives, they run on a platform of promises. They tell us, this is what I believe in, and this is what matters to me, and this is what I want to accomplish. And they get up there and they tell us those things, and then we decide which candidate is most aligned with what our needs are as a citizen, correct? And then they go to Washington, and they don't do anything that they promised to do. Their decisions are made based on who's going to give them more kickback money, not based on what did I tell my constituents. Right, Dan Crenshaw, you piece of shit? So, yesterday, the vote was a backlash against Republicans. It was a backlash against Democrats. It was a backlash against the ruling elite of this nation. Finally, U.S. citizens said, we are in this together. We are together. They are the enemy. It doesn't matter if that elected official has an R beside their name or a D beside their name. It doesn't matter. They're making the decision to send our tax money to Israel, Lebanon, Iran, Ukraine. They are collecting our money as we die as a nation, as we are unable to buy milk and eggs legitimately, realistically. They're taking that money and they're not saying, hey, we're in hard times. I know you guys are struggling. We're going to give this money back to you because you guys need it. We don't need it. We're a bunch of damn fat cat millionaires up here. We don't need your money. You keep your money, and when things recover and get a little bit better, then we'll start worrying about helping other countries. But right now, you guys are hurting bad. That's not what they did, is it? They just keep taking more and more and more. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris was going to hire like something like, I don't know, 800 IRS agents to come for me and you, to come to get more money out of us so they could send it somewhere else. Let that sink in. Do you know that little asshole in Ukraine, do you know he lives in a penthouse in London? He drives a Bentley. They're not using that money to free the Ukraine. Ukraine is the size of Texas, people. We're sending all that money over there, and then it finds its way back to individual politicians as kickback money.
The voting system that has been set up. Some of the states have taken action. Georgia's fixed up, their system a bit. They all...
A bit? People went to jail, sir. They had attorneys and judges waiting by the phone yesterday to stop the nonsense. And it worked. Donald Trump won Georgia. Let that sink in.
What they all need to do, and I don't know why they don't do this, is just call Jeb Bush and have him come in and do what he did to Florida and just do that in your state.
Let's talk about exactly the question that you're asking is one that I've been catching a lot of heat for answering on air, and we've been talking about this in the last week or two. You're talking about the propaganda campaign and the playbook of Trump. This is not new. This is not surprising. This is directly out of Hitler's playbook.
What? Excuse me, lady? What did you say? The most reviled human being that ever walked the face of the planet. A man who conceived of an idea to take an entire group of people and walk them into what was gaseous poisoning. You're saying that Donald Trump is like Adolf Hitler? I introduced to you one of your programmers. She is dehumanizing Donald Trump as a human being. She is turning Donald Trump into a monster. You are being gaslighted. In no way is she speaking facts and truth. Hunter Biden's laptop, that's truth. That's a fact. That's evidence in a court of law. You can pick it up, you can hold it, you can move it around, you can look at the photographs in it. Hunter Biden with Chinese female children naked. It's right there. You can see it. The pictures are all over the internet. She denounces that, the facts, but then answers. She's got to make all what this guy just said. She's got to make all that go away. And so now she's going to bring up a highly emotional, provocative topic. The monster of Adolf Hitler, that is a cloak that she will now place around the shoulders of Donald Trump so that you will be terrified of him, so that when he speaks, you won't be able to hear him. You will be listening as if to say, what part is a lie? Listen to her again. It's shocking. It's horror. It's a nightmare that anybody would be able to go on TV and say something like this with absolutely no sense of responsibility to the listeners. So it's shocking.
And just do that in your state.
Let's talk about exactly the question that you're asking is one that I've been catching a lot of heat for answering on air, and we've been talking about this in the last week or two. You're talking about the propaganda campaign and the playbook of Trump. This is not new. This is not surprising. This is directly out of Hitler's playbook. This is out of an autocrat playbook. This is a way to, the things that Trump has done masterfully, frankly, is to get the entire, to get a big part of the population to believe that the game is rigged and to sow distrust in public institutions and the free press.
Now, I have a question. If we, the people, if we felt like we were doing okay, that we're able to save some money, maybe buy a house, maybe be able to afford a dozen eggs, if there were jobs, if our government didn't lie to us and say, we've made 1 million jobs this year in 2023, only to come back later in October and revise that and say, just kidding, we only made 200,000 jobs. Would we believe Trump? If we were doing okay, if we still had a sense of community about us, if there was still this idea of being a proud American, if you weren't shamed and vilified for being white or for being a man or for being cisgendered, do you think you would listen to this nonsense that, oh, the election is rigged? No, if you're doing okay, if you're able to work hard, save money, live your American dream, and somebody says the system's rigged, you would say, bullshit. Where's the evidence of that? But today, now in 2024, somebody says the system's rigged. There's evidence that that's true. One of the biggest pieces of evidence is the popular vote. You and I are logical, rational people. 20 million Democrats just decided not to vote. This is their party. They're the ones that have been telling us all about woman power. It's time for a woman president. You're running a candidate to be the first female president of the United States of America, and 20 million of your party don't vote for the first American female president? Please, one of you, anybody in the chat, explain that to me in a logical way. How can I be wrong about this? 20 million. 20 million opt out to say, yeah, I know I'm a Democrat, but I don't care if we elect a female president. I just don't care. Evidence, people. Evidence. Not the programmer's words. Not the objectification and demonization, the dehumanity that they're putting on Donald Trump or any of his followers, but just simple evidence. Do you really, this woman is an idiot. Do you really believe somebody wins 320, 350 electoral votes with a team that is consisting of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr.? And we're supposed to believe that it's all a ruse and that the Republicans or the Democrats are just fine, that it's all Donald Trump and his propaganda machine. Explain that exactly, please. Please explain how the young prince of the Kennedy kingdom, how he's helping Trump lie to the nation? No, lady, you're one of the programmers. You've been told that if you play the game, if you repeat their government propaganda, that you'll get a seat at the table. And you don't give a shit about the starving, homeless people in the street. You don't care about your fellow citizens. You just want to be a part of the game. But we, the people, U.S. citizens that looked around and said, something's wrong. We can't protect our own borders, but you're going to take our tax money to protect the borders of the Ukraine? Why? Please, someone explain that. No one has. No one has given us any kind of an explanation for that. Not the Democrats, not the Republicans. These are facts that I'm speaking.
That is a tried and true playbook that we have seen time and time before that has resulted in really disastrous things for society. And that is what's working. And so it's actually quite simple. When you tell a big enough lie over and over and over, people are going to believe it. Even when folks around him like Rudy Giuliani and others have literally been found liable for telling those lies that weren't true. The public still believes it. And the whole goal was to erode trust in our public institutions. And it's
the public institutions of ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, New York Times, Washington Post. They see their control of power slipping away. They see we the people going to Twitter to get news. Something that's unfiltered. No more manipulation. No more willingly sitting in front of a television screen to be programmed according to what they want. You'll buy the pillows we want you to buy. And we don't want you buying Mike Lindell's MyPillow. So we're going to demonize him. We're going to dehumanize Mike Lindell. And then you buy from the company we want you to buy from.
working.
It's an
And if
obscenity.
anything, that's what fake news. I mean, Donald Trump has done that really well. Can't argue with that.
You are fake news. All right. So calling a candidate who's had the biggest win, political win in the history of this nation, it's shocking. These people are low IQ, the dumbest among us. And the reason I say that is this: they can't learn. They don't have the ability to learn. And what's even worse than that, I don't think they want to. I don't think they have any curiosity about we the people. I don't think they have any curiosity about me and you living our daily lives, trying to make ends meet. They don't care. They have an agenda that says, I want to have a seat at the table. And I am willing to say whatever the machine wants me to say, just so that I can be relevant. That's all they care about. They don't care about the people. They don't care about the reality of being hungry or the reality of giving using chemical restraints to neuter their children, creating eunuchs of their own children. They don't care about that. They just like that narrative. Oh, we're the kinder, gentler, more loving political party. We're willing to let you castrate your child if your child says, hey, mommy, I think I'm a girl. It's an obscenity. Trump is the next Adolf Hitler. Listen to this. I mean, if you ever saw anything, this was amazing to me. Crazy, right? Crazy, especially considering her party. She's been in office the past 12 of the past 16 years. Donald Trump only had 4 years. out of 16. What does she mean, never again? We're not going back. What the hell is she talking about? These have been the people in charge. The past 16 years, though 12 years out of that 16 has been Barack Obama as president. We've been lied to, you guys. We have been lied to. They are absolutely terrifying human beings. The claims that the Madison Square Garden rally was a Nazi rally really hit a nerve. I don't have to love everything about Trump to say the following. He is not Adolf Hitler, and the 20,000 people there were not Nazis, period. Claiming otherwise means trivializing the Holocaust. Yes, but absolutely 100%. Let me look. The United Nations agency documented use of anti-Semitic materials to indoctrinate millions of Palestinian children, its encouragement of students to die as martyrs in the service of murdering Jews, and its role in perpetuating conflict by maintaining generational refugee status have raised concern for decades, spurring questions about the use of U.S. taxpayer funds. Several UNRWA employees participated in the October 7th massacre, and evidence of the UN agency's deep links to Hamas continue to emerge. This is the money that we have spent for the United Nations RWA, which has been directly associated with Hamas. So let's look at it. So Barack Obama had, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wow. About $1.5 billion to fund the Palestinian war. Donald Trump, his first year, he gave $359. Oh, he gave exactly the same from the year before. So he just said, whatever they did before, keep it up until I have time to look into it. And when he looked into it, he said, screw that. He gave them $65 in 2018, nothing in 19, nothing in 20. Boom. He doesn't want war. And then Biden jumps right in with both feet and builds right back up to Barack Obama's bullshit. It's obscenity. It's an obscenity. Trump isn't 1/10 of the man Adolf was. Oh, that's bad. Donald Trump openly admires dictators. He is unhinged and unstable. In his second term, he is out for unchecked power. Unhinged and unstable, eh? I mean, do I really need to say anything else after that? I don't think so. All right. So I do feel like I've kind of made my point, right? 3 hours later. So this is hey, Rhonda Grace Exploring. This is a very instructive time in our lives that we watched the most liberal of people, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard. We watched the most liberal Democrats join up with the most conservative among us, JD Vance. And then also someone who really has no interest in politics at all, other than he's simply interested in free speech, and that's Elon Musk. You watch these guys join up together as a collective team to try to right this ship, to try to get us back on track and get these criminals out of office, get these people out of office that have squandered our tax dollars, that have killed human beings in the Middle East for nothing more than making money with new government contracts for the military industrial complex. It's a good thing that happened yesterday. And the programmers, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, the programmers, they see their grip on power slipping away. They look at Twitter, they look and see the number of viewers that Tucker Carlson gets, who's bringing good news to us, right? They see that, and the people that still watch the mainstream media is a paltry number, a minuscule amount. They don't want this. They want to retain their control and power. And they know it's over. They know that we know what they are. They're programmers. Don't ever forget that, okay? Take my 2-week challenge. Take my 2-week challenge to stop watching news, stop looking at the news sites online, only watch shows that you want to see because they're entertaining. Get back in contact with your kids and your family. Go out and embrace your hobbies and just cut off. Don't let the programmers have access to your brain for 2 weeks, and then take a good look at your mood. Take a good look at how you physically feel after denying the programmers access to your mind. All right, y'all. I'll be back again. We'll be talking about Delphi. The defense has rested, and they're about to send this case to the jury. And so that'll probably be the next time you see me, is when we talk about the jury decision. All right. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you for listening to me rant and rave like a crazy lady. All right. Y'all have a good evening. Talk to you later. Bye.